Hey, Nichole Huntsman, your astrologer from moderncosmic.com. We're going to talk about Moon and Pluto synastry inner aspects. So Moon and Pluto, here we've got Moon, one partner's emotional nature, Pluto, the other partner's power and ability to transform. When they make aspects to one another, you can have a very magnetic draw. Many times with Pluto, we're dealing with issues of power, dominance, who's in charge, who's the submissive, who's the dominant, these issues of obsession, these issues of compulsion. If you've got someone whose chart is not very comfortable with Pluto, perhaps you've got somebody who in their natal chart, they have really strong Pluto conjunctions, squares, oppositions to their sun, their moon, maybe even some of their personal planets, but really their sun and their moon. This is someone who these issues of power, control, domination, that they already inside of themselves sort of apply to their own way of doing things, So it's someone who, let's say, for example, we've got someone who's got a strong sun Pluto in their birth chart. This is going to be someone who deals and grapples with issues of power. This is somebody you got to remember. Anybody born around their same time, that those other people's Plutos will also be making aspect to this person's sun. So all growing up, this person will have experienced their identity as being one that brings extreme reactions from people. Either they really like you or they don't like you. And in the romantic context, many times people who have, strong sun to Pluto or moon to Pluto will have extreme reactions from lovers as well. So they'll have people who fall madly in love with them, and the person who is the sun Pluto person or moon Pluto person will feel kind of unsure why this is happening, okay? And they'll feel like people are always becoming sort of obsessed with me, but they don't even really know me, and they're projecting onto me. Okay, so this type of person, if you have aspects with this person, they're not, it's going to be what they're already used to. You see, because Pluto is so far away and it's so slow moving that's going to just be a part of their experience when it comes to the world around them. But if we talk about you since this is Pluto Moon, if we talk about you as the moon person, okay, this Pluto person, if they're making aspects to your moon, they're going to bring out in you Plutonian reactions, emotional reactions. So Pluto is, of course, the planet that brings out extreme feelings. It's the planet, when you think of Pluto as a modern ruler of Scorpio, it has to do with life and death. It has to do with all or nothing. Once you've experienced a very strong Plutonian transit, for example, your life typically has changed in ways that you'll never go back to where you were at before. The same can be said for these relationships. Pluto to the moon can bring out for that lunar person, for the moon person, obsessive or it can bring out an obsession or compulsive quality in the moon person. It can bring out reactions from them that they themselves understand why they're feeling so drawn to this Pluto person. They can feel a little bit crazy in a sense or taken over by the Plutonian person. See, now with Pluto, my experience with looking at not only synastry, but then the composite charts with Pluto is you have a high degree of sort of a fated karmic quality with these relationships. They can sometimes feel like heaven or hell, love, hate, damned if I do, damned if I don't, kind of, these issues of extreme will sort of play out in these relationships. Moon to Pluto also, in the moon person, you may bring out in this person fear, jealousy, anger, even to a certain extent, depending upon how the rest of the charts look. But you see, it's so unconscious. It's at Pluto to the moon to me is like these forces. You've got the moon, the lunar person, that's your moon, that's your unconscious world, your emotional world. And the other person's Pluto, their Pluto is generational. It has a very soulful quality. It's like they were born into a space and time and they just happen to come into your life, moon person, at this right time where it triggers you to somehow transform emotionally. So you've got to look at the rest of the chart. Look at how that lunar person's chart is built. Look at the aspects being made to that moon. Does this person have a moon with really easy aspects, trines and sextiles to, happy planets like Venus or, perhaps their sun? Is this somebody, what is their emotional world like? Is it highly controlled? They've got some strong Saturn to their moon. Is it somebody who needs purpose and direction? You come along, this Pluto person comes along and triggers that moon. It's a little bit of blowing up in a sense, or really activating, transforming that moon person's world, their emotional world. So it can feel, for some people, especially if you've got someone who's got a strongly, let's say, Aquarian, Uranian, sort of airy, even Sagittarian birth chart, these Plutonian, if you remember the myth of Pluto, and that Pluto kidnapped Persephone and took her to the underworld. You know, Pluto deals with this violation of boundaries, possession, and being possessed. You know, this is a very extreme energy with Pluto. It can be very sexy, rules things like domination, like S&M, you know, tying somebody up, removing their will from them, making them succumb and surrender to you. So there's like this side of Pluto that can be played out in the bedroom. But in the relationship, in the day-to-day world, it can end up being power struggles. It can end up being obsessive and, again, compulsive behavior where it's coming from an unconscious place. So you've got to really, I'll use myself. I've got my moon in the 8th house, which is a very Plutonian house. That's the Scorpio house. So for me, I also have my sun loosely conjunct Pluto and Pluto loosely opposite my moon. So Plutonian relationships tend to be a theme that I repeat over and over and over again. Many of my partners have either had Scorpio moon or have had strong moon to Scorpio aspects in their chart. And then their Plutos have aspected my moon. So again, because of when I was born, that's just how other people's Plutos are going to be making aspects to my sun and moon, just as the Pluto did on the day that I was born. So point being, these relationships, what's really important with Pluto, look at the house that it falls into. So look at the Pluto, look at the house and the moon person's chart, the house that it falls into. Use that house placement also of the moon person's moon to interpret the inner aspect, okay? So let's say, for example, someone's Pluto falls into your first house and it makes an aspect. Let's say you got your moon in your 7th house, okay? Their Pluto in their first house is going to feel like it may feel like they try to transform the way you are, or perhaps it feels like they have a little bit of control over how you express your identity. Opposite the moon, which would be in the 7th house, your moon, your emotional nature, in that house of the other, there's going to be a real draw. Moon in the 7th house anyways, these people are naturally drawn to relationship because there's an understanding that in order for me to understand myself emotionally, I have to do it through partnering with other people in the mirroring process, okay? So this Pluto person falling in my first house, opposing my moon, is going to feel like someone I'm supposed to be doing business with, and perhaps that I have some karmic business with. If you've got nodal things happening, you know, north and south node, look at that south node if you want to know about past lives. South node conjunctions, squares, and we're talking really tight orbs, will suggest there is probably some karmic work here to be done. And of course, there's much more to look at, but that's what we do entire readings for. Overall, Moon Pluto, it's an intense, fated, it'll feel destined in a sense, or you're going to feel like this scares the hell out of me and I'm getting out of Dodge. You can have both at the same time, okay? Remember, it's extremes. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and if you have questions, please leave a comment, or you can reach me over at moderncosmic.com, set up a reading, etc., etc. Have a great day. Okay, bye-bye.